Chase was good enough to help me plan all this and get this all working. Dawn and I, well, hey, let's start with this. Let's fucking go. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy. And my other guy isn't here right now, but he did help me out again this morning to make sure I got all this stuff set up with my phone, microphones, and everything to be able to. And actually, the picture's pretty good. The picture's probably better right now through my phone than it is through these expensive cameras we have that apparently aren't expensive enough for doing lives. But I digress. So Dawn and I do not do vacations. That's just not me. It's, just not who I am, at least at this point in my life, being 57 years old, having to rebuild everything, over the, last 9 years or whatever the fuck it's been, and just 10 years and get back to a place that I don't want to be comfortable, but to be in a better place. I'm in a good place. I'm not going to lie. I'm very happy with where I'm at and the way that things are going business wise, for sure, and definitely going better in my personal life now too. So I'm very, very happy about that. But I do workations, I work from wherever I'm at. And the only day pretty much I don't work is Christmas. And yes, I work Juneteenth. The fuck is that? I get, the recognition and the holiday. I do not get it being a paid federal holiday. I'm sorry, I don't. And then closing banks and other government agencies and things like that, like the post office stuff, that's just I'm sorry. I'm not a fan. I'm just not. I'm just somebody who grinds. So we worked yesterday. My staff worked. We did what we always do and will always do. But Dawn and I have made another trip. I've been here a few times in here to Rocky Point in Mexico and enjoy it. It's not super luxury, but it's nice. It's rented a condo, different location than last time, just a few minutes down the road, and just thought we'd try another place. And I don't do a great job of relaxing, so that's what this is about, is a little bit. But I'll get to that. But I'm still working. So any clients that the three clients that watch my podcast and stuff, I'm still working. If you need something, you message me. Whether it's instructions on how to take your peptide, or you're trying to place an order or get a consultation, whatever you need. I do continue with that stuff. That does not change. And just give me a minute to respond. That's all I ask. Just give me a minute to respond. But I do love having the ability to do that because it enables me to do these things like this. But I don't get any paid sick days. I don't get paid vacation days. That's not a thing. So don't say, oh, well, I'll just hit you back when you get back from vacation. No, hit me up now, man. Hit me up now. And I wanted to be able to see, since we just started doing this, I didn't want to go on a little short hiatus. That we've started going live for some different reasons to see how things work out as well on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays as close to 9 o'clock as we can. And I did a little better this morning than what we've been doing. So I wanted to keep it going. So I made arrangements to make sure we could do it from here and work things out, because I am not your big time, technical person. I love technology. I wish I was better at using it, but I have to have things set up where I push a button and it's go. And we pretty much got that, and appreciate Chase's help in getting that. Look, we got some things to get to. What the fuck is going on in Oregon? We're going to talk about Oregon, that their legislature's session is open, and they had a drag queen show. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Ted Cruz, Tucker Carlson, just a couple of days ago had Tucker Carlson was interviewing Ted Cruz. These two have known each other for a long time. They do like each other. Maybe that wasn't quite as evident in the whole interview, but we're going to talk about that because that is the topic of discussion now. So that's the thing. Let me see if I can adjust this fucking just a little bit more. There, yeah, that I kind of like that, and maybe just a touch closer. You and I being close, that's a thing. That's okay, right? I'm just trying to figure that out. So this is it. So I might be looking down sometimes. I do have my iPad here too, and a few notes for things coming down, written down that I want to talk about today. But yeah, Democrats are trying to exploit things like this, or the discussion about the war, and that there's a split. And I'm going to talk specifically about this split because it's a split not in the Republican Party. It is a split that is a bipartisan split. That's what we're going to call this. We're going to call it a bipartisan split now, okay? Because the issue isn't whether you're Democrat or Republican, and I'm going to show that in when we talk about that today. And then what is it like? It's a thing now that Democrats seem to be trying to set themselves up to get arrested. That's the thing. They think it'll help them, that getting arrested, shows their base, their lunatic fringe, that, hey, we're fighting for you. We're fighting for you. See, I got arrested. I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for the community, and these damn Republicans, and there's no democracy, and the outrage when one of them gets arrested because they're doing dumb shit. They're doing dumb shit. They're doing this shit on purpose. And I don't think it's going to help in the election, but we're going to talk about that because it's like everywhere now. Like that's the word went out. Well, I'll save that. The word went out though, probably from Hakeem Jeffries. Get arrested. It's good politics. And then last, am I a WNBA fan now? Yeah, I guess I kind of am a WNBA fan. I mean, what else am I going to call myself when you're a premium season ticket holder, right? And I love Caitlin Clark. She brought me to the WNBA, and I've gotten to know a number of the other players throughout the WNBA. Um, can we say does the WNBA quite a little bit revolves around Caitlin Clark now? It's just a fact. They're gonna have to fucking deal with it. But a huge fan. She was with the Phoenix Mercury last year. Sophie Cunningham is with the Fever, and the whole scuffle the other night. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that and how the WNBA is handling that. And then hopefully very soon we have it scheduled for sometime in July because we're trying to record and do more interviews, and we're going to be recording those on Sunday and putting them up for just our regular recorded part of the podcast. And I've been working on building that, but Braden Bell, who announces some of the Phoenix Mercury games on courtside there on TV, he's going to be a guest. That's his job to know. It's his job to know the WNBA. And I'm going to have fun talking to him. So we're going to be getting more into that. And, what I like to do is I like to talk about things that I like and like to talk about. And if that interests you, that's great. But I'm trying to find my way doing this. And I've been doing it for a year now. And look, I'm not afraid to admit that it's a struggle. I'm not afraid to admit that. And that sometimes it even feels like to me and maybe you three people out there, that I don't have a certain focus. Is my focus? What am I trying to do? Is it business? And I'm trying to figure it out because the basis for all of this too goes back to my radio days when I was a morning talk radio host for 4 hours every morning back in Toledo. And part of that was to get a higher profile, to become known, to talk, to let people know you. And the other part was business. I did do it for business because I believe people want to do business with people that they like and they trust. And it was a way to build that. So even though I was a financial advisor at the time, that I didn't, that being a financial advisor, that even though I wasn't doing a lot of the show always on financial things, and mostly not when you're doing 4 hours, that it still helped my business. And it helped to tremendously build a successful financial planning practice back in Toledo, Ohio. So, yeah, I'm trying to figure that out now. And I don't know. I don't know how good a job I'm doing. So we're trying different things to see what works to increase our audience. So some of my basis for what I do is just on that, and I kind of would just get on the air. It's not easy to just get on the air every morning and kind of wing it. Things got a little better when I had a producer, a good producer for my talk radio show that had taken a show to number one before. Like he gave me more structure. He got more interviews. He was already connected into those things, and so that was very beneficial. That was a help too. Uh, you know, it's just this right now. It's just about me sharing about the things that I'm thinking about that are in the news. And I don't think about everything that's in the news. There's so much, right? But and what my perception of it is. And I'm pretty smart. I'm not Harvard educated or anything like that, but I am smart and I have common sense. And so I'm just trying to look at these things from a common sense point of view and then share those things for everyone, to everyone, what my thoughts are. And, if it gives you some information to go search and look up and, form your own opinions, great. If I influence some people, yeah, that's good too, but that's not my main focus. It's really just about sharing what my point of view is. And then also know I'm willing to listen to other information, other points of view. That when it's done in a respectful way and an intelligent way. That is not really social media. That's not a thing. And if you see my X account, it's not. And I've actually been building that up. Like I'm getting closer to 500 now, which is crazy to say. Like I wasn't even at 400 the other day, and all of a sudden, getting sometimes 10, 20 a day now, sometimes a few more, sometimes like it just seems like you get stuck. I don't know. But I do believe in X as a platform, and I'm not anybody. And I'm just like, this is the real grind of trying to build a social media platform that matters. It's not an easy thing. So just those are my thoughts on what I'm doing here, what I'm doing on my other social media. And if you're one of my handful of people, subscribing and following, God bless you. God bless you. I love you. So let's get to Oregon. The fuck is going on in Oregon? So I can't believe I came across this story where in the Oregon state legislature, so the different states operate differently and when they're in session, how long. It's not like Congress in DC always. And apparently they just opened up for their session. And they have like an opening ceremony thing. And in Oregon, obviously, Democrats dominate, and they dominate heavily there. And sometimes they'll invite guests. So they invited guests, and this is crazy to me. So they, like, literally in the well of the state legislature, they have two black drag queens. And this was not only about, this whole drag queen thing, it was specifically black drag queens And they sponsored and passed a resolution to like honor the history of black drag queens. So you're telling me in the state of Oregon, with all the shit going on, all in every state in the country, that the most important fucking thing in Oregon right now is black drag queens? I mean, drag queens itself is a small little subset group. You know, if you had a look like a little chart and, you know, little groups and all over, and you kept breaking it down, this is this little tiny one off to the side there. Do you know how crazy that is? Why is that important? You know, I don't care if you want to be a drag queen, if you want to go watch drag queens, I don't care. I do care if you take take small children, and I'm talking small children, to the library and you're doing this drag queen thing at the fucking public library. That I care about. Do a private thing, invite whoever you want, whoever wants to go. And if you're like, it's crazy, I would to me anyways, to take a small kid to that kind of thing. You know, drag queens typically do their shows in bars. Okay, that's the environment, and I've never protested, I've never cared, you know, what they do, but why does that have to be done in our state legislature? Why does it continue to have to be shoved down people's throats? Do your thing sexually, do your thing how you dress, do whatever the motherfucker you want, but why does the rest of the world have to celebrate it? I really, really don't understand, and I really don't understand the purpose of this at any state legislature. It just seems, and it's not good optics. I hate to break it to these motherfuckers, but it is not good optics. You're continuing on. That shit related to transgender issues did not work for you in the last election. And if you think somehow you just need to message it out better, I'm telling you, but hey, keep doing it. Keep doing it because you are not going to win any elections by focusing on that kind of stuff. That's not what people care about. Obviously, people care about prices. They care about the ability to, you know, if they do hard work, they want to hopefully make more money. They want to be able to, you know, live in a nice place, whether that's an apartment or a home. You know, they want to be able to afford it. You know, they want to be able to have their air conditioning on in Arizona, you know, and have a nice temperature in their house and not 81 degrees, you know, on the inside. Yeah, like I'm in this group called Go Gilbert, which is Gilbert's a city right next to us here in Queen Creek and Santan Valley. And these people, the things they post, man, I'm in this group totally for the entertainment of it. But everybody like trying to save $10 on their electric bill. Man, I don't even know what my electric bill is. I swear to God, I don't. And when I keep the temperature between right around 74, it's weird. 74 in the summer, it feels like about 70 in my house. And if it didn't, I would lower it to 70. But if I lowered it to 70, it would be like an ice box, like cold, cold. It is hard to set temperatures in a house in Arizona. I'm going to tell you, it ain't no lie. It's way harder than what I had to deal with to try to keep even temperatures back in Ohio. But, you know, I always liked, you know, around 70 to 72, always. And I do that. And I do not motherfucking look at, you know, what the bill is. Whatever the bill's going to be, whatever the bill is to make that shit happen. I don't know. I'm not, but there are people that are setting thermostats, you know, different times of the day, you know, when they're not there so that it's a little warmer, and then they're, you know, they think they're not paying as much or whatever. And it's like, man, your bill is 300 or 350 bucks a month. And like, what are you going to save 25 bucks? If that's your issue and you have to budget that way, you need to find a way to make more money. I don't know why people don't talk about that more. I'm not against budgeting. I've helped people budget when, I was a financial advisor even. But you know what? There is another option. The option is to make more. Yeah, the option is to make more. That is a thing. And yeah, I just don't want to don't want to deal with that. I see, even without Chase here, I go off on these little side weaves and stuff. We're talking about, you know, uh, we were talking about black drag queens, and somehow I'm on like thermostat temperatures. How did I get here? I crack myself up, but I digress. I love it. But seriously, what's important to Americans is their families getting their kids to the games, finding some extra time, even for themselves. You know, there's just the whole black drag queen thing is is not something that's on anybody's top 100 list. It's just not. And that's not meant in a mean way. It just means it's not important. And we all have whatever things are important to them, but I don't try to shove what's important to me down other people's throats. At least I don't think I do. So it just baffles me what they're doing and what they think that perception is going to do for them in elections. Now, it is only a state legislature. It's not happening in Washington D.C., but still, it matters, and I I'm just baffled by it. Just baffled by the whole thing. I did post something on my Facebook. I did post, I believe, on X about it too. So if you are not following me on these other platforms, highly recommend. We have our links all over in our different places here. But a great place to message me is every other platform but this. If you want to message me directly, and I'm one of the few people out there that do try to answer as many messages, and I can now as I can. So you want to engage with me in some way, or um, something you want to share, please, by all means do that. But send me a friend request. I don't have many openings, but you can always follow me as well. And my shit's public. All my shit's public. So on my Facebook, it's public. You do not have to be a friend to see everything, single thing I post. Everything is open book because I have nothing to hide. The good, the bad, the ugly. I've talked before about when people try to attack me. It's kind of funny, or use something, they look something up in my past. You were charged with, it says charged, didn't it? It didn't say convicted of. Everything somebody is charged of does not mean they actually did it. But I like to joke about those things and those experiences that I have. But people try to throw that out there and portray you as not a good person, or that they're out, oh, just steroids and you're just angry. Like, man, you want to see me fucking angry? You should have saw my fucking ass, when I was drinking. Way more angry than I am today. And it's something that being sober is something that I worked on, and been sober over 16 years now. And alcoholics tend to have anger issues, and I worked on that. Besides just putting the cap in the bottle, tried to work on that in relationships and making amends and doing all those things. And God uses me as a vessel to share about those things, to help other people. A lot of times it actually really does happen where somebody engages me for health reasons because their testosterone levels are low, they're not feeling comfortable, they're 40 pounds overweight. And then eventually we get into that, hey, how did you do this? How did you stop drinking? And God uses me in that way. And I expect God to use me in that way. And I'm all about it. I take the time out. Um, I don't do it for compensation. I do it as a way to give back and to keep myself sober too, because, I am a big believer in the AA program. And part of that is, giving back this gift that I've been given. So just, just sharing a couple things like, that. And, so let's go on. Let's go to the next topic. The drag queen thing, man. Is that crazy or what? I don't know. You have to look into it and form your own opinion. But again, like I said, check me out on the different platforms. Ted Cruz, Tucker Carlson. So I started watching just a short little bit of it at home, and these podcasts can be long, you know. And what's cool about it, what I like about it, is if it's good, I'll watch it, and I don't have to watch it all in one sitting. I'll go back to it and take it in. I think that's the way things have evolved now. Like I also prefer when Dawn and I, late at night, people, I don't know why people like to brag, but some people like to brag that they don't watch any TV whatsoever, and that's fine. But, I've always been kind of a late owl, and it's relaxing for us to watch sports or, find a series that we start watching. And I love to be able to go from one episode to another and go through the entire series and, until it's done. And we'll even stop in the middle of an episode. That wasn't a thing growing up, right? But now it is a thing to actually stop in an episode. I doesn't have to be recorded on some big ass tape or nothing like that, but you just stop, and then the next evening or a few evenings later, you go back to it and hit resume watching from where you left off, or you can go back to the beginning, or you can do anything you want, right? Which is really good. But yeah, the podcasting, I'm good with that, and I don't know, how everybody else watches these things, but if it's interesting, I'm going to come back to it. And the Ted Cruz, Tucker Carlson interview on Tucker's network was really good, sounded good. Like I said, I was only in it for a little bit, and Dawn gets into these things with me too. So we had a little over 4 hour drive down here from Queen Creek, Arizona, down here to Rocky Point, Mexico. It's also called Puerto Penasco, is where we're at. So we had a drive, and yeah, there were some parts there where we didn't have good reception out there in the desert, but for the most part, we were able to watch it and see it and listen to it. Very, very entertaining, I got to tell you. And they went at each other hard on the issue of Iran and Israel and the war. And, there's a debate raging for sure, but it's not just amongst Republicans. So let me kind of explain this in this way. It's bipartisan. There are Republicans who support Israel, and there are Republicans who do not support Israel. There are Democrats that support Israel and Democrats who do not. Like I'm thinking of, Chuck Schumer mostly supports Israel. John Fetterman, definitely a big supporter of Israel. But basically, how people are falling on this issue of Israel and Iran, and then also our inclusion in all of this, right? Whether or not for us, how much we're going to get involved. That's really, to me, what I see, and even for me personally, evaluating my own stance on this is where do I fall on how I feel about Israel. And I'm a supporter of Israel. I always have been. It's interesting that Ted Cruz brought up in the interview about one of the reasons he supports Israel. And my two reasons are really identical to his, which was really odd. I didn't know this before, but really, I think they're our best ally. There are people that will dispute that, and people more knowledgeable than me about the history of our relationship. But for me, anyways, and for what I've taken in and the information I have, I am pro-Israel. I do know and understand when people bring up things like Israel being that it, Israel, like about Israel spying on us and things like that. And Ted Cruz answered those questions very, very well. All of our allies spy on us. And Tucker, clapped back and is like, well, I don't like that. Well, Ted Cruz's answer was, it really don't matter if we like it. I'd rather them not do it either. And they could say that they're not going to do it, and they would do it anyways. And we spy on them. The truth is, we all spy on each other. We just do. It's kind of, to me, it's just like trust and verify. And you have to do that because think about your own personal relationships. I have a relationship with someone that is a business relationship, and that person and we care about each other a lot as individuals. To me, they're almost like family. And some things happened recently that really could severely have damaged that relationship. And it's hard, especially like in this case. The reason I'm bringing it up is because it felt like in some ways a betrayal of trust. Like I really trusted this person, but it's on me that I guess I shouldn't have trusted. That you just can't trust people to that kind of level, and then be surprised when things go awry, and you're like, damn, like I trusted them, and it's hard, but that's no different than other relationships. That's just how relationships work, whether they're personal or business, or whether they're relationships between countries, right? You want to be able to trust and ally, but you know what? I think Ted Cruz made a very, very good point. Is the thing that you can trust is people are going to do things, based out of their own self-interest. And sometimes, it's not a good thing, but they're going to do things out of their own self-interest, and that you can trust that they are not going to care as much as you do about you. Nobody's ever going to care about you more than you do. So I think it's important to know, you know, and that level, and comparing it to these other things. So yeah, I don't like that Israel spies on us, but I'm okay that they do, knowing that we do the same fucking thing. Why should I be mad at them for doing it? And nobody, as Ted Cruz pointed out, how often are people complaining about these other countries doing it? We still trade with China, and look at all the crappy shit China does to us. It's a lot of crappy shit. And then a lot of these other countries think we do crappy shit to them. And you know what? We probably do. That's the thing. That's the thing. So that's the lens that I look at this through. But in the big, big scheme of things, the bottom line is it's been going on for a long while, and nobody has had the balls to really address it appropriately. Is Iran having a nuclear bomb? Or people will say, why is it okay for Iran to, or for Israel to have a nuclear bomb and not Iran? Because Israel's not threatening people with the fucking bomb. They don't want to take over the world, and they don't think a whole race of people or a whole sect of people should just be eliminated. They don't do that. That is not true about radical Islamists. And there are many, many good people that practice Islam, and you can get into the weeds and the technical details of Islam and things like that. And some people do, and some people just have a opinion, just taking and just trying to put every box when it comes to Islam. I don't do that with Catholics. There are Catholics that are diehard Catholics and actually practice Catholicism. And there are other people that call themselves Catholic and did the Catholic shit when they were kids because their parents made them, that don't really follow, that shit like that strongly. So that's just how people are with religion. What's important to me is not religion, but my personal relationship with God. But that's just how I view things as a Christian. So, one of the things, all of that to say, Ted Cruz said, if there's a passage in the Bible, and I haven't looked it up, and Tucker went off on it for this, which is so silly, about, if you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. If you like go after God's people, the Jews, the Israelites, then you'll be on the wrong side. So I always thought it was a positive thing, and I'm not a big theologian, but I always thought it was a good thing to be on side of God's people. So that's my own rationale and why I support Israel, and that they're one of our best, most one of our allies that we can trust the most. So that's just where I am on it. And I'm okay with Republicans arguing about this. I'm okay with Democrats arguing about this. I think it's terrible that people want to use this to drive a wedge between people, when this kind of thing we need to be able to have discussions about. We need to be able to have rational discussions as an adult on these issues. And I support, I think there are a bunch of different groups of what people fall into and what they want and what the results they want to have from what's currently going on. And what I want is what the president says he wants. And my opinion was not given to me by the president. But my opinion is I want Iran to not have a nuclear weapon. I'm not big for regime change, and other people are. I'm okay for regime changes, but I'm not a big fan anymore of the doctrine that we used to have, where we would go in these places, where we would be disruptive, where a government would be taken down, and then we tried to replace it with a different government, and that shit just never worked. So that's the background that I'm working with, of the experience and things that I've seen and been through, not just reading about, but actually lived through, that we have not been good at, and it's not our job to really spread democracy in that way. If a country and a people want to be ruled by a dictator or a king, that's their business. That is not our motherfucking business. Now, if something happens and a country or people want advice and say, look, you young America, you've done this, you've struggled, but you continue to try to do the best you can with this whole freedom and democracy thing. Can you help us out too? Great. Offer assistance, offer help, offer advice and how to set systems up and do that. But you have to understand too, or at least I understand, that there is no system that any country uses, no government form of system, no system that any country uses to rule over a people that does not have corruption. They all have corruption. And so it's not like, oh, capitalism is corrupt, socialism, they're all corrupt. And it's the people that are corrupt, not necessarily the system. And some systems just have the ability to work better than others. And the one that's produced the best benefits is capitalism. It's brought the most people out of poverty. Trying to make everybody equally poor is not a great idea. Okay, we've seen it over and over again. It hasn't worked. But so how I viewed this whole Tucker thing, I just encourage people to listen to it themselves. If it's something that interests you, keep an open mind to it. Even if you like one person more than the other, I I think it's great that they were able to do that and put it out there and not be afraid of how people are going to look at their views, and determine for themselves. That's what it's all about. And so this nitpicking that's been happening over the last couple days because of this, or because, Trump doesn't agree with this person, or this person in the cabinet said this and said this years ago. Look, the bottom line is this. I don't believe Trump wants boots on the ground. And it would have to be something crazy else that would have to happen for boots to hit the ground. If we were able, I don't know that it really matters whether we do it now or if we gave the 30,000 pound bunker buster bomb to Israel, so for them to do it. I don't know if they have any pilots that could do it because they would also need one of our B 2 bombers. Okay, they do not have the delivery system to deliver the 30,000 pound bunker busters. Their capability, as I understand it, if it's true, what we see and listen to in the media, is 5,000 pounds. That's what they have the ability to deliver. So, they do 25,000 pound bombs and get the same results? I don't know. I don't know. If it takes the 30,000 pound ones to do the job, and there's one location that really needs to be dismantled, and we're able to do that with a couple of those 30,000 pound ones, to me, it doesn't matter if we were able to give it to Israel to do it. It would be like we were still doing it. We're going to be treated, by the rest of the world as if we're doing it. That's what's going to happen. So if that's the case, who has the most experience and ability to do this? Who's practiced, this as far as that goes? We have. And if we can, I'm much more for this, is to be able to deal with this problem like this than these long drawn out wars. I'm not anti-war, but I'm not a warmonger like probably fairly could have been said about me not many years ago, because I fell for all that shit. I did. I fell for, Colonel Powell. I fell for Dick Cheney and Bush. Um, I supported, taking uh, uh, Iraq down. But it wasn't long. It was just a few years into it, along with a couple years into Afghanistan, where we just got bogged down, and there was no good reason to be bogged down, and none of that turned out good, and we spent billions and trillions of dollars. None of that was good. We did not get, if we'd have gotten results from it, that would have been different, but we didn't. And I don't think there is a way to get results out of that in any other scenario either. We should have been in and out, take care of business, and look, and sometimes that means dropping, air power, dropping bombs. I'm all about doing that, killing as few Iranian people as possible, but just finishing the job and being done. That's what I'm for. Um, what would actually happen? Nobody knows. Everybody can speculate, and you don't know who's right until after. That's the way it goes. But I do believe, and I do trust Trump. And other people would rip into my statement. Democrats would, oh, he's a 34-time convicted felon, and just, oh my God, the shit they say over and over again. It's like, get the fuck over it. Trump has talked about Iran not having a bomb for over a decade, a nuclear weapon for over a decade. He's talked about that. He is very, very consistent. Yes, he campaigned on not having or being part of never ending wars. He campaigned on peace. He campaigned on wanting to end wars. And no, the Ukrainian Russian war did not end on day one, but the dude is working tirelessly to try to make it happen. It did not feel like we were actively every day under President Biden trying to end the Iraq war. It didn't, or not the Iraq war, I'm sorry, the Ukrainian Russian war. It did not feel like that. It feels like that now. And so I'm okay that he didn't keep his promise on day one. Okay. To me, like when you take President Trump literally like this, and you're going to hear me repeat this if you listen to me often enough over and over again so that people understand. If you take Trump literally that way, it will not work out well and you're going to call him a liar. If you take him seriously, but not literally, and understand the concept of like what he's trying to do and the direction he's trying to go, he's absolutely keeping his promise. He's absolutely trying to do that and do those things, and actively trying to end, what's going on in Gaza. And I think this is connected too. There's another thing that I don't hear any motherfucker talking about that I also think, you know, I equate this with my personal life and having been in fights in my personal life from the time I was in elementary school and through my adulthood. And I'm talking about like even very serious altercations. I know what it's like to fight in the streets, not a ring, but I know what it's like to fight in the streets. And you got to have a reputation. And sometimes that reputation will keep you out of shit. Because if you have a reputation, people know, yeah, I could probably take him, but he's going to get me too, and I'd rather not. And they think twice and they just back off. That's a good thing, And then sometimes, people forget who the fuck you are, and you got to show people who you are. And I think that's where the United States is right now. That we need to dealing with this issue with Iran takes care of a very huge problem. And it also shows China who the fuck we are. That what we're willing to do, and with the president that we have, who's unpredictable, which is I think is great, that we're not putting up with your fucking bullshit. That, we would much rather work things out and let's make money together. I like those ideas. I like the practicality of that. I like the business nature of Trump making decisions based on things like that. But sometimes you have to, if you have to know that if you flex, somebody may call you on your flex and you better be ready to like really fight. And so that's, Trump uses that. He flexes, but like, look, I don't want to fight you, but I will fight you. And if I do fight you, I'm going to destroy you. He just puts it out there like that. And maybe the world needs to see that again, that we, because we haven't won any wars in a long, long time, that we're still the biggest badass on the block. And if you think that kind of shit doesn't matter, that's just men and masculinity and toxic masculinity, come on, man. Come on. Check your history from the beginning of time. That kind of shit matters. Wars have always happened. Violence has always happened. And that shit ain't going away. You might think, well, we're so advanced now. We're not that motherfucking advanced. No, we're not. We need to be able to do those kinds of things sometimes and to protect ourselves and put, our interests first. And I still believe in that, and that's what Trump is doing. And look, I'm just telling you, I don't care whether, people can call me whatever for believing this. I believe Trump and I trust in Trump in this situation. That no, he doesn't, the kind of things that he talked about this and now he's doing it. Like, no, he does not want that kind of shit to happen. He wants to, end it as best he can, if and has continued even after, the missiles started flying at each other, to still try to promote, we can make a deal. He's all about making deals. But if you don't want to make a deal, then some decisions are going to be made, and there has to be some deadlines, and some things are going to happen. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with if they don't do, if Iran does not come to the table seriously, that he just finishes the job. I am for that. I'm not going to lie. So that's my 2 cents on that. Check out the Tucker Carlson. Check out the Ted Cruz interview that Tucker does. It's excellent. and form your own opinions. But I think it's basically going to come down to if you are someone who supports Israel, then you're going to be okay with others. If you don't support Israel, you somehow, as an American, you're going to end up on the side of Iran, and I don't understand that. I don't understand how people can do that. But look, this is the America we live in now. People keep trying to say, I see it all over the place. These, especially politicians, this is not who we are. Well, we keep showing that this is who we are over and over again. We keep showing it, right? So it is who we are. We just need to acknowledge it and deal with it, right? So, I hit that. Oh, Democrats trying to get arrested. What the fuck is this? This is actually a thing now. So remember, we had the mayor of Newark, and then that female congressman, whatever the fuck her name was, and others that, just a few weeks ago were detained. That mayor was even arrested, people being charged. They were trying to get into this facility for immigrants, and they wanted to, do their supervision as their congressman, and it's their right to, oversee this. And the thing that happened as a part of that is they eventually did get in, and everything was cool. Now some of them are getting in. They're trying to, oh, like we're not giving them 5-star accommodations. Get the fuck out of here, seriously. Seriously. But now more and more of them all across the country, it seems on a daily basis, are trying to get into these facilities, and they're hoping that ICE doesn't let them in so they can post about it on social media. They're also hoping that if they push a little bit, maybe, just enough, not too much because those pussies don't want to get hurt, but just enough, it'll be seen as, an assault or something. And then the ICE agent's going to overreact because that's what they're accusing them of. And they're going to get arrested, and their staff's going to be there making video, and they'll be able to post it, and it's going to be good for them. That's basically what's going on right now. Okay, is it's just for show, and most people take it that way, except the people on the left. How dare, this is what a dictatorship does. They arrest mayors. The president isn't sending out ICE to do that kind of thing. And to make ICE like this evil group of law enforcement officers in our country is just bullshit to treat them that way. They're doing their jobs, and they have families to feed, and they know how to do their jobs. They've been trained. And if there's a case where, there's a violation of law, there's a court. File a lawsuit. Plenty of shitty attorneys out there willing to take cases. All right. So do what you have to do. But as a general public, we need to do better and hold these people accountable that want to keep raising the rhetoric. And I'm daily pushing back on the use of Hitler and Nazi and Gestapo. I'm pushing back. It is not the motherfucking same to take people and put them on a flight, to put them on a bus, to send them back to their country of origin. That is nothing like putting somebody on a train to a gas chamber. It's nothing like that. We are not killing illegal immigrants. We're sending them home. Hitler killed 7 million Jews, and when you compare those two, you diminish that atrocity because the two do not compare. This what's going on with immigration does not rise to that level. And to say so makes you really a piece of garbage to do that. Makes you the real racist and the bigot in this whole thing. Because these people don't care about these people. When we encouraged, what's not happening now? Because people are not crossing the border anywhere like this, like it's barely even a trickle now. Like it is so low. Like we've illegal border crossings or just crossings in general, or people trying to claim amnesty is so far down. It's amazing. And here's the other thing. What Trump has done is use existing laws, even old laws, and try to enforce them to get his goal of mass deportation. If you don't like that, then change the law. The problem was we had these laws and they weren't being our laws. We were looking past it, saying, it's no big deal. Think about it. It happens every day. I mean, like, how many times does somebody, jaywalking is illegal, right? When's the last time somebody got stopped for jaywalking? Cops don't enforce that law. They're like, yeah, fuck. Well, that's what was happening with our immigration laws. We have laws that we shouldn't have to be going into these businesses and arresting employees, 50, 70 people at a meat packing plant because they motherfucking shouldn't be there. It's illegal for that business to do that. And I do not feel sorry. I'm sorry. I do not feel sorry for any business or any farmer or any employer that's employing illegal aliens for labor that get that their business is damaged because ICE comes in and does their legal job and removes those people. You shouldn't have hired them in the first place. And one of the things the average American doesn't know is in most of these cases like this, they are not going alone. ICE is not going in there alone. They're going in there with the IRS. Yes, armed IRS agents. They're going in there with FBI. They're going in there with DHS. They're going in there with many other groups of people because that's what some of these cases are. Is some of these cases have to do with the employers and going after these employers and these employers not doing the right thing with taxes and Social Security and stuff. And so the IRS is involved. And then the other part is, you find that and that they have 40 or 50 people that are illegal and they get arrested, some of them with other serious criminal backgrounds and others not. But look, people say, well, some of them, they work hard, they pay taxes. Here's the thing. Any illegal immigrant who is working and paying taxes is doing so with a stolen Social Security number. That's what they're doing. Stolen Social Security number. It's a fact. So that means they committed two crimes. They came into the country illegally, violated our borders, and then they committed a crime of using someone else's personal information, using their Social Security number to pay taxes. And how well are they worry about how the immigrants are illegal immigrants are being treated in detention facilities, right? What about how illegal immigrants might be poorly treated and that are working for some of these companies who are taking advantage of them for cheap labor? You all right with that? Because you want your apple, you want your tomato, you want your cucumber, you want your vegetables. Because that's what all you say that these Mexicans are good for, which is the most racist shit in the fucking world. It really is. It really disturbs me. It is disturbing to think that they're only good enough to clean your hotels, do laundry, like these basic. That's just such shit, man. It is. And says, oh well, Americans won't do the job. You know what? That's why we need the changes that we need in these in the Medicaid laws. For one, being an example that are welfare laws to make Americans have to work again. Able-bodied Americans should not be getting a free ride, and they should have to. And these so-called jobs that Americans won't do, they should be doing those jobs. Then they should be forced to do some kind of work. That's it. And then if they don't want to do that kind of work, maybe put a little effort in to get a fucking skill and get a better job. That's all. Your job should be to do one thing. Everybody's job, right, should be to do one thing. Take care of yourself. You got to take care of yourself first. And then if you have others who rely on you, a significant other, a spouse, a family, to take care of them. But it's your job to take care of you. It's your job to take care of those that are in your circle and your family. It is not my job. That's how America works. I'm not saying don't help people. I'm not against helping people. You want to help people, help people. Do whatever your heart wants. Nobody's stopping anybody from doing that. But that's not the government's job. And it's not the government's job to take from someone who is productive and to give it to someone who's not productive. It's up to you to figure out how to become productive or not. And that's up for all of us. All right, I could go into more, but I've already been reached past my hour. One last thing, I did want to talk for 2 minutes about the WNBA. Getting a lot of traction this week on the WNBA, again because of Caitlin Clark, and then what happened in the game against the Suns the other night. And there were no suspensions handed down by the league. There were some fines. And look, I get why they don't want to fine some of the players. They don't make that much money in the first place, but or why they don't want to suspend people because then they, would lose out on that game check or whatever. But the officiating has to be gotten under control. And I'm okay in the men's game, and I'm also in okay in the females game of there being some physicality and some competitiveness and stuff like that. I am totally okay with that. I'm not okay with the public I'm not okay with Caitlin Clark fans going after Angel Reese's fans or other people's fans. And vice versa. I'm not for that. That needs to be nipped in the bud. What it looks like now is one group of people is being favored over another. Okay, it looks like lesbians are being favored over straight players, and then black players, in many ways, favored over white players. In this altercation the other night, there was one black player that got kind of involved a little bit. I think she got a technical, but she really wasn't really involved, I don't think, and was not attacking. And that was a Suns player that she was really trying to keep things apart. That's just my own view of watching the tape. It's four white girls. There's four white girls. But yet online it still turns into racial shit. But one of the things, you can't have cases too, and this is in addition to this, where, the league did an investigation on allegations that Fever fans were saying racist stuff to Angel Reese. And they did an investigation. It turns out there was nothing that wasn't true. And, look, Angel Reese had an opportunity to say the words, say what was said, and exactly where it came from. But the investigation was basically, it was not a thing. It wasn't. But then we also have video of Griner saying fucking white girl, and everybody knows she said that, and then denying it. And look, if the league wants to keep that shit out of the league, and it's a safe place and all this love and all this shit, but not to investigate that and hold Griner accountable for what she said and did, that can't be happening. There's got to be consistency. There is an incredible opportunity for this WNBA right now to really expand and grow because they have a player and players that can make that happen now. It doesn't diminish the talent of other female professional basketball players prior to this, but this is its opportunity for actual real growth now for the first time in its history, and it's a 27-year history, so it's been around a minute. but now starting to get some interest and relevance, and it's at a good part of the season, or a good time of the year when there's the lull of baseball. Football has been over. Now hockey is over. The NBA is about to be over. Where all the focus is, there's focus that can be put right on them, and interest. And I think getting to see a generational talent is an amazing thing. So that's why I'm following along. I'm following along because Caitlin Clark um, has the same reason I love Tiger Woods and follow Tiger Woods. You know, could Tiger become the GOAT? And it ends up he's I still believe he's second to Jack Nicklaus, and I think Tiger would say so too. But he gave it a run, and it's also about longevity. So even though Tiger was on track and looked like he was gonna, break Jack's records and everything, he ultimately didn't do it because of time and injuries and things like that. He ran out of road a little bit is the best way to maybe put it. So that's the kind of potential Caitlin Clark has. It's that big that it crosses outside boundaries of people who are female basketball fans. Okay, when somebody can bring people and bring eyeballs when to a sport when that's not really their sport of interest, that means something. That means something, and I hope they don't blow it. I hope the WNBA doesn't blow it. But right now, their marketing is absolutely horrible. Their officiating is horrible, and they got to get this shit fixed and turned around and be consistent with these players. Allow competitiveness, but some of this other stupid chippiness needs to end, and people need to be put in their places. That Mabry should have been suspended. She should have. And so now that's not going to end. It's going to carry on to future games. In the it's gonna come. Yeah, in the future. So that's what I got for you. We managed to get this all done. I appreciate you. Love you guys. Let's see. Like, how do I? I don't know exactly how to do it. And I'm going to try to shut this off, but God bless. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.